Also this morning, there's new fallout from the push to dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development. Small businesses who work with the government face layoffs. Charities, they've lost funding, and even American farmers who grow crops for foreign aid have been impacted. Joining us now is Democratic Congressman John Garamendi of California. He served in the Peace Corps, seeing the impact of USAID firsthand in Ethiopia.
Welcome, Congressman, to the table. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Let's pick up on that part of your personal story and how it translates into what we see today. You and your wife, Patty, met and got involved with the early missions of the Peace Corps and in Ethiopia. But what I would like you to do is give people an appreciation of what that work means and how important USAID is today in that fight.
Well, our first involvement with USAID was in 1967. We were Peace Corps volunteers way out in the remote western part of Ethiopia. No electricity, no running water, but USAID came through with a team to do vaccinations for smallpox. And we spent a full month working in the villages in the area doing those vaccinations. Successful. Smallpox is essentially gone, except in just a few very small places around the world. That was the first we had, and then through the years, we've continued to be involved. Patty ran in the Department of Agriculture, the Foreign Service programs, the food programs, and she went to famine camps, refugee camps, Lokachokia in northern Kenya, Ebola outbreak. But the food was provided by USAID, the medical services, USAID, saving lives and providing security here in the United States from a pandemic. In that case, it was Ebola. And right now, Ebola is once again in Kampala, Uganda. USAID was working in those clinics to stop that outbreak. They're not there anymore.
Right.
So maybe that'll expand, and it's just 15 hours away from Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And
Somebody gets on a plane and we're here.
And we're seeing, Congressman, the impacts of this. There's a headline in Reuters about a Burmese refugee who died after being discharged from a shut U.S.-funded clinic. And then you have the impact here at home, this headline from the Washington Post about how gutting USAID actually threatens billions of dollars for U.S. farms. Quote, purchases and shipments of U.S. food aid worth over $340 million, including rice, wheat, and soybeans, have been paused during Trump's foreign aid freeze. It's according to officials in an email obtained by the Post. My question for you, Congressman, is when Republicans inevitably take a victory lap on this, say that they have cut government waste, what is Democrats' counterpunch?
It's not waste. It's an essential American program. It is the soft power. General Mattis, former Secretary of Defense, said it very clearly. He said that if you do away with the soft power, that is USAID, then you better get me a whole lot more bullets. The fact of the matter is, as we pull away from those places where USAID is presently involved, for example, Africa, you can bet that China is right behind. They're going to fill that space, and then they will have the influence. We know, for example, that China wants a port in West Africa. Why? Because they want access to the Atlantic Ocean, the Eastern Atlantic Ocean. How are they going to get it? U.S. pulls out. The aid programs are gone. The country needs help. They'll turn to China. And part of the deal is, OK, you can have a port here. This is a national security issue as well as humanitarian issue.
What can Congress do on this? Because this USAID was created by legislation.
Yes.
This is after there was money that was given from the Foreign Service Act years ago, and then the president at the time created USAID, and then it was codified into law after that by Congress. And so you have the executive branch here essentially defunding something that Congress said should exist, and I thought the power of the purse was with you all, not the executive branch here. So what can you all do?
Well, we can push back in every way possible. Go on your show, talk to the American public about what's going on here. You're absolutely correct. USAID was actually created by Kennedy back in the 60s. Over the years, the authorization has gone on forward, most recently in the 90s. There was a moment in the 90s where The administration could change it, but that was a period of time. That time has passed. There is no legal authority. It is illegal for the Trump administration to kill or to stop USAID, cannot put it into the State Department. There is no legal authority to do that. And so, yes, the lawsuits are out there in the courts. We will support that in every way possible. And we'll talk as best we can about what USAID does, not only in food, not only the effect on the farmers, which just mentioned, it is a major problem in the Midwest. I would expect to see some Republican senators going, uh-oh.
I'm from Nebraska. I know the farmers are like, what is going on?
Exactly. So all of that is in play. The problem here, for me personally, is this is a personal issue. These are things that Patty and I have spent our life working on, and we know. I would just ask Trump or Musk, go to one of these camps, go to one of the famine camps, one of the refugee camps, and hold a starving child in your hand. Look at that extended belly. Look at the eyes that are just vacant. We have developed, USAID has developed a nutrient system that can immediately revive that young child. It is a supplement. It's not available now. That child's going to die. So where's the humanity here? Where is the humanity? Do they understand what they are doing for these lives? And then the medical side of it. If you pull USAID out of these countries, you're going to have a medical crisis here in the United States. It will come here.
Congressman, in addition to the incredible work of USAID, we have come to understand that it's not just USAID. There are other relief services out there. Catholic Charities, for example, a significant player here domestically as well as globally. Catholic Relief Services, right, which is, you know, a companion organization working hand in hand with USAID. National Catholic Reporters already indicating that Catholic Relief Services is laying off staff, cuts and programs after this USAID shakeup. The reality of it is, you look at Catholic Relief Services basically receives about half of their $1.5 billion budget from this type of funding.
Exactly.
Talk about the impact across the board for humanitarian services. That soft power, yes, is putting food in place, medicine in place for people, but that also translates, as Simone and Alicia were talking about, in other ways to secure the U.S. presence on the ground locally. Because here's the deal. When we pull out in West Africa and China comes in, when that port goes in, folks, that port's not going away. China now has a beachhead on the Atlantic Ocean opposite the United States.
Exactly right. The USAID has about 5,000 American employees around the world. They are actually monitoring the contracts with organizations like Catholic Relief Services, World Vision, and others. Those NGOs provide the services on the ground. Specifically, in the case of Catholic Relief, that's medical services and food services. There are other programs that are doing economic development, agricultural development, water systems, electrical systems, and the like. So the USAID employees are working those contractors, working with those contractors. So it spreads out all around organizations, many of which are important here in the United States. The other part of it is that there are people from those countries that are working alongside the Americans. So it's about 10,000 people total. You disband that, there's a vacuum. Yeah. And as you said, somebody's going to come in. It'll be China for sure. We also know that Russia would love to get in as they were before and as they want to be in the future. So in terms of international security issues, USAID provides not only the humanitarian, the economic development services, but it also provides an opportunity for America's presence. We're not there, guaranteed China will be there, and they have been, and they will be in the future.
I mean, they are literally on the continent right now.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so waiting with bated breath.
Congressman John Garamendi, thank you for reminding us that what is at stake is everything from our national